The bidding stopped as soon as he lifted his hand. No one spoke. No one offered more. The girl stood still, hands at her sides, bare ankles dried mud, dressed too thin for the time of year. She didn't flinch when the man beside her touched her arm, leading her down the steps like she was some calf sold too late in the season. She walked on her own, past the sheriff's boy chewing tobacco, past the preacher's wife who turned her face, past the sound of boots creaking from men who didn't clap, didn't nod, didn't blink. He didn't look at her in the wagon, didn't speak. He held the reins too tight and watched the road curve back to his ranch like it might vanish if he lost focus. She sat upright, eyes straight ahead. "You cold?" he said. "No." She meant it. He cracked the reins once. The mule didn't hurry. The sun dipped. Back at the house, he unlocked the door. She walked in before he told her to, set her bundle down on the floor, and didn't ask where to put it. "Kitchen's that way," he muttered. She didn't move. He stepped past her, filled a glass from the pump by the sink, and held it out. She stared at it. "Are you thirsty or not?" "No." He frowned. "You don't drink water?" She met his eyes for the first time. "Not from strangers." "You think I'm a stranger?" "You paid." "That doesn't make me your enemy." "Don't make you my friend either." He lowered the glass, set it down on the counter. "You got a name?" he asked. She walked to the doorway, leaned her shoulder against it. Her voice was calm. "You had a sister once." I remember his spine stiffened. He didn't answer right away. "You don't know anything about that." She wore boots too big, laughed like she didn't want to, fed the dog under the table when your father looked away. He stepped back. "You're talking nonsense." She buried something behind the barn, something small. His voice cracked. "You stop." "I was there." He looked her over now. Not her face, her arms, her height, her mouth, searching. "She was 12, he said, "when she went missing. I wasn't much older." "That ain't possible." "I cleaned the barn. Your mother never said my name. Your brother used to leave bread out back for me. When he felt bad, he turned away." "No, that ain't right. You didn't see me." "That's the truth." He poured a second glass of water, drank it fast. His hands trembled just enough to spill some. "You're saying you knew her." "I watched her walk into the woods." "And I watched who followed." His face went pale. "You need to tell me what this is," he said. "I just did." "You saying?" "I ain't saying nothing yet. Just that I remember." The clock ticked louder than the silence. She stepped past him. I walked into the back room. Found the quilt still folded on the trunk. I opened it. Set it on the cot, like she belonged there. "You ain't sleeping in that room," he called. "I already did." Long before you noticed, he didn't move, just stared at the empty spot where the glass had stood. She sat on the edge of the bed, picked at a thread on her sleeve. He walked down the hall, stood in the doorway. "Are you here for something?" She didn't look up. "I already got what I came for." "What's that?" "Your attention." He leaned on the frame. "You expect me to believe you knew her?" "You will." "That's a bold promise." She reached into her dress pocket, pulled out something small, held it in her palm. Closed. "What's that?" She opened her hand. A chain. Silver. Dirt-caked. The locket dangled. His throat closed. "Where'd you get that?" "She gave it to me." Said she didn't want to wear it anymore. Said it made her feel watched. He stepped closer. "You're lying." "Then take it." He didn't. Her voice softened. "It's hers. You know it." He stared. "You don't get to come in here and pull ghosts from the floorboards." "I don't pull them." "They followed me." His voice dropped. "You should leave." "I did. Once." "You didn't notice then either." He turned. I walked out fast, like the air burned. She stayed sitting, the locket in her hand, her eyes on the door he left open, and outside the mule brayed once, then went quiet. She didn't ask where anything went. She moved like she'd already lived there once and forgot to leave. The first thing she did after stepping through the door was walk into the kitchen and place a single wooden spoon on the windowsill, crooked handle, one edge scorched. It caught the light like it belonged. He leaned against the door frame, arms crossed, watching her. That spoon ain't been seen since the girl disappeared. She didn't look at him. She used to leave it there when she didn't want anyone to know she'd been in the sugar. His stomach turned. "You knew her?" She moved past him. "I remember everything." He followed her into the hallway. She didn't stop, opened the pantry without asking, peeked inside, shut it again like it confirmed something. You walk around like you own the place. I remember who did it. What's that mean? She turned. It means your daddy didn't buy it clean. He didn't answer, just watched her walk out to the back door without a sound. Later, he found her at the creek, knee-deep in cold runoff, scrubbing linens hard against a flat rock. White turned red with the iron dirt. She didn't look up. Her arms moved with rhythm. You don't have to do that, he said. They smell of rot. They always have. She kept scrubbing. That doesn't make it right. He stepped closer. His boots sank into the muck. You always fix things no one asked for? If they scream loud enough. What's screaming now? This water. These walls. That room upstairs. He was about to speak when he noticed the chain around her neck. Dirt smudged, rusted at the clasp, but unmistakable. A silver locket, oval, dented. He froze. Where did you get that? She didn't stop scrubbing. It ain't mine. That belonged to my sister. She gave it to me. No, she didn't. She did. When? The night before they tried to make her disappear. He stepped into the creek without thinking. Water filled his boots. He grabbed the locket. Not hard, but fast. She didn't stop him. He held it in his palm, wiped the grime with his thumb. The hinge caught. It opened. Inside, 2 locks of hair. One golden, one dark. Pressed flat. Preserved like hope. She cut mine to match hers, she said. Said sisters should always match, even if no one else saw. His breath caught. This was buried with her. She looked at him now. They never buried her. They just stopped asking. He clenched his jaw. That ain't possible. She walked into the barn. I watched her. The dog barked once. Then it was quiet. I waited. He stared. I lit the lantern. I went out there. We searched. Not deep enough. She had a fever. No. She was afraid. He stepped back, still holding the locket. Why'd she give it to you? She said if something happened, I should wear it. That way she wouldn't vanish all the way. She loved that thing. Never took it off. She did it for me. He sat down on a flat rock. I remember holding her once. After Mama passed, she was small, cold hands. She never liked the dark. She said you were the only one who saw her. I was 12. You looked away when it counted. He shut the locket. I didn't know. No one wanted you to. Why are you here now? She didn't speak for a long time, just rinsed the linen and watched the dirt float away. Then, because I found the rest of her braid. In a jar, hidden in the pantry. He looked at her, horror slowly rising. She kept it hidden, she said, because she knew someone would want proof gone. He stood. Are you lying? No. Swear it. I ain't the one who needs to. They stood in silence, just the sound of the creek pulling everything south. You think I let it happen? He asked. I think you were taught not to notice. He stepped out of the water, locket still in his hand. I walked back up the slope. She didn't follow. Inside, he dried his boots by the stove. I looked toward the wall behind it, hesitated. Then I moved it aside. Dust, cobwebs, brick. He ran his hand along the edge. I felt something soft. Tugged it out. Oilcloth, folded twice. Inside, a strip of ribbon, golden strands braided through. He knelt, fingers trembling. She walked in behind him, quiet as a ghost. That's hers, she said. I know. She trusted you. I didn't know how to hold it. She still gave it anyway. He looked at her. Why give it to you too? Because I stayed. Even when I wasn't wanted, he pressed the ribbon to his chest, closed his eyes. Does she ever say why she trusted me? He asked. She said you were kind, before they taught you not to be. The stove ticked softly behind them, and on the windowsill, the wooden spoon hadn't moved. The dog barked once, then it went quiet. Hooves approached slowly, dragging dust behind them. She stepped onto the porch and stood still. He followed, wiping his hands with an old cloth, heart already heavy. The sheriff didn't tie off, didn't dismount, just sat on his horse like he hadn't meant to stop at all. Didn't expect company, the man said. The sheriff squinted at the house. Didn't come for pleasantries. His voice was dry as sand. Boots creaked in the stirrups. His left hand rested loose on the saddle horn. Right one low on the leather flap near his gun. The man nodded toward the barn. Something you need? The sheriff didn't blink. Just noticing the mule ain't where it used to be. I moved it. You always park your stock beside the smokehouse. It's cooler in the shade." The sheriff's eyes shifted, brief but sharp. He looked past the man, toward the girl. She stood barefoot, didn't flinch. "You bought her at auction," the sheriff said. "Wasn't illegal." "No, just unwise." The man crossed his arms. "What's that mean?" The sheriff didn't answer, just nodded toward the barn. "She came from stories, not from silence. That kind doesn't stay quiet long." The girl watched his right hand, the one hovering near his gun. "I don't believe in stories," the man said. "You should. Your daddy left a few." The girl spoke for the first time, voice low. "He never opened that barn again after she vanished." The sheriff glanced at her. "You remember that?" "I remember what was nailed inside the door." His face tightened. "That was taken down." "Not by him," she said. The man looked at her, then at the sheriff. "What's this about?" The sheriff's horse shifted. He didn't rein it in. "Folks are talking," the sheriff said. "Since when do they stop?" "Since you brought her home." "She's not a ghost." "No," the sheriff said, "but she's carrying one." Silence. The sheriff tilted his head. "Have you seen the locket?" The man didn't answer. "She's wearing it," the sheriff continued. "Don't know how she got it, but it ain't hers." "It was given," the girl said. The sheriff stared at her. "That locket went in a coffin." "Coffin never closed." He didn't respond. "I just studied her." "You dig her up?" "No." "Then how do you know?" "Because I was never that far away." The sheriff shifted in his saddle. "You know what happened to that girl." The wind passed. No one answered. "Because I don't," he said. "But I remember who cried loudest." She didn't blink. "You mean her or the one they kept hidden?" That made him pause. "You got something to say?" he asked her. "I already said it." "To who?" "To the one who listened." The sheriff turned his eyes back to the man. "You believe her?" "I believe she ain't lying." "That's not the same." "It's enough for me." The sheriff's jaw moved, chewing something invisible. "You sure she's not here for more?" "She hasn't asked for anything." "Yet." The girl stepped down from the porch. Slowly. Her eyes didn't leave his hand. "You're afraid I'll pull it?" the sheriff asked. "No," she said. "Afraid you won't." He didn't move. "You think I'm like him?" She didn't blink. "I think you watched him." He shifted in the saddle again. Uneasy. "Say what you need," she said, "or leave it quiet." He stared at her, then spit in the dust. "Some stories should stay in the ground," he said. "Then stop digging with your eyes." He looked at the man. "She's not what she seems." "Neither is this town," the man replied. The sheriff pulled the reins. The horse turned. "Watch the barn," he said. "What's buried don't stay put." He rode off slow, never looking back. The dust hung in the air behind him like something unfinished. She stood still. The man stepped down beside her. "What was nailed inside the door?" he asked. She didn't answer. He pressed. "What did you see?" "Not what," she said. "Who?" They both looked at the barn. The doors didn't move, but something inside had shifted. The sound of the latch turning echoed louder than it should have. He dropped the tin bucket mid-step. Water sloshed across the floorboards. She stood in the hallway, fingers on the doorknob of the back room, the one no one touched. "That door doesn't open," he said. She stepped inside without answering. He rushed forward. "It's locked." "Always was." She didn't look at him. Just walked into the room like she'd been there every morning since time started. The smell inside was faint, lavender and dust, but no decay. The sunlight filtered in from a window they'd painted over years ago, now peeled in quiet surrender. He stopped cold in the doorway. "That room." Her voice cut in. "You never changed it." "No one's been in there since—" He swallowed. "Since she left." "Left," she repeated. He scanned the room. His sister's sewing table stood exactly as it had that day. Thimble, thread, the pink scrap she never finished stitching, a hair ribbon folded beside it. No dust on anything. Not a speck. "That ain't right," he muttered. She touched the back of the wooden chair, ran her hand along its edge like it remembered her. "You cleaned it?" he asked. "No." "Then who did?" She looked at him. "She never left." He blinked. "Don't say that." "She stitched here." "Every afternoon." Hummed the same 4 notes. You never heard that, he said. I did. That door was locked. She turned her head. You really think locks kept her safe? He stepped farther in. It's been 12 years. And the thread's still pink, she said. Not faded. His hands trembled. I remember the humming. She nodded. I never forgot it. Then, softly she began. 4 notes. Low. Gentle. He froze. Stop, he whispered. She didn't. Where'd you hear that? She sang it while you chopped wood. He took a shaky breath. She said it helped her think. She said it kept the voices out. He sat on the edge of the bed. The same quilt, still folded neat. This room should be empty, he said. She kept it alive. But how? She turned to him. You ever wonder why no one moved her things? He shook his head. Mama said it was sacred. She said that to stop you looking. He stared at the sewing table. She made me a patch once. For my jacket. Said boys who wore mended things were the strongest. The girl touched the thimble. She said that to me, too. He looked up. How long were you in this house? Long enough. Why didn't I see you? You weren't meant to. He leaned back, eyes fixed on the ceiling. You think she died here? I think she waited. For who? For someone to remember she was real. He looked down. That's what this is about? No. Then what? She stitched a name once. I found it. Inside the hem of her apron. What name? She didn't answer, just hummed again. You knew her better than I did, didn't you? She whispered to me when it rained. From where? Under the floor. His face paled. That crawl space. She used to pass me bread. Said I was like a mouse. Quiet but smart. I never knew. You didn't look. He stood slowly. I want to see that apron. You already have. What? The rag you cleaned your boots with this morning. He blinked. She said if the name faded, that meant she was safe. But it never did. He pressed his palm to the wall. It felt warm. I thought grief faded, he said. Only if you lie to it. They stood in the room, both not moving. She reached for the drawer beside the table. I opened it. Inside, spools, needles, a folded note. She handed it to him. He hesitated, unfolded it. In delicate, careful handwriting. Don't believe what they bury. Look in the corners. He looked up. She left that for you. The girl said, his voice, caught, why me? Because you were the last one who called her by name. He folded the paper, put it in his pocket. Is this why you came back? He asked. I never left. The window behind her rattled just once. She walked out without saying another word, and he stayed in the room with no dust, holding the note like it still had breath on it. The bottle hit the dirt floor harder than it needed to. Didn't break the first time. He picked it up again and slammed it down until it did. Glass scattered under the lantern light, but she didn't move. You didn't know her, he said, voice rough from the burn in his throat. You knew pieces. You heard things. You don't get to talk like you were blood. She stood near the barn door, half in shadow. I knew how she screamed, she said. He laughed without humor. That's not knowing. That's surviving. I was under the floor. His smile dropped. She called for you, the girl said, but you didn't come. I was a boy. I didn't know. She screamed twice. The second time, no one answered. He turned, pacing fast now, stepping on glass without care. You think that haunts you. You think you're the only one carrying that sound around in your ribs. She was right above me. He faced her. And what did you do? Hide? I held my breath. You think that makes you brave? No. Just alive. He picked up the second bottle, didn't open it, just held it like it had weight beyond liquor. You buried her fast, she said. He froze. I watched from the field, she continued. You didn't say a word. You didn't wait for the preacher, just covered her up like she was already gone before it started. That's not true. You picked a shallow place. Near the fence line. No marker. It rained that day. You didn't even cry. He threw the bottle. It hit the wall. Didn't shatter this time. Just rolled. Stop. She stepped closer. You never asked who carried her. I carried her. No, she said. You followed. His eyes flashed. What are you saying? I saw who lifted her. Who wrapped her in that quilt. No. I was there. You were a child. I still saw. You didn't see right. She pointed to the beam above them. She scratched her name there. with a nail. The day before, he looked. It was faint, but there. She knew she wouldn't be heard, the girl said. So she left it where the animals live. He walked to the beam, ran his fingers over the worn grooves. Why didn't anyone else see this? Because they weren't looking for her. Just for something to bury. He turned slowly. Are you saying she wasn't dead? She was silent. That's all they needed. He slumped against the wall, knees folding under him. I didn't know how to grieve. I just wanted it. To stop hurting, she crouched nearby. Not close, just near enough to be heard. She braided my hair once, she said. Said sisters share secrets. But some secrets keep you. He rubbed his face. Why are you here? To finish the braid. He laughed bitterly. You think any of this makes sense? No. Do you think dragging this up does any good? It's already here. I see her sometimes. In the hallway, in the swing out back. I thought I was crazy. You weren't. He looked at her. You wear the locket like it belongs. It was mine too. She gave it to you? She said I reminded her what it felt like to be listened to. He blinked fast. She said that? She whispered. When no one else was near, he leaned his head back against the post. I hated that day. I hated them for how fast they said goodbye. Your mama never asked what happened. She said some things were God's will. She was wrong. He nodded. I know. Silence wrapped around them again, not heavy, just steady. Why tell me now? He asked. Because your grief is heavy, but it's crooked. What does that mean? You buried her fast so it wouldn't rot inside you, but it did anyway. He looked down, glass at his feet, dirt in his hands. She braided your hair, he said again, like testing the memory. Yes, she did that for me once. I know. I forgot that. She didn't. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve. I don't want to forget anymore, he whispered. Then don't. They sat quietly, the beam above them holding a name no one spoke, and outside the wind moved the swing gently, as if someone had just stepped off. She waited until morning, didn't speak over coffee, didn't touch the bread, just stood near the stove with her hands tucked in the folds of her apron like she was keeping something alive in there. He didn't ask. Not yet. He watched the way she looked at the window, not through it, but at the frame, like checking for cracks. He finally said, If you've got something to say, I'm listening. She pulled her hand out slowly, unfolded a piece of paper, smudged, crumpled, the color of old dust and dried blood. She didn't hand it to him yet. What is it? Something your family forgot on purpose. Where'd you get it? It was sewn inside the lining of the quilt. His stomach tightened. My sister's? She nodded. He reached for it, but she didn't let go. Look close, she said. He leaned in. Red circles, black ink, a jagged drawing of the land around the property, his barn, the creek, the smokehouse. Beyond it, a corner of pasture he hadn't touched since he was 17. That field's dead, he said. She pointed. But this well isn't. He looked at the faded X. No one goes out there. They used to. He stepped back. You think this is... what? Some old trail marker? No. She handed it to him. It's where the others went. What others? The ones with no names. He stared at the paper. My father worked in that field when I was a boy. Not to grow anything. You're saying he... I'm saying someone marked this. Someone who wanted it remembered. He ran his thumb over the creases. Where'd you really find it? She said nothing. Tell me. She finally looked up. It was sewn shut, buried beneath a patch of stars. It took hours to find the edge. I don't understand. You're not meant to. He folded the paper. You think there's bodies there? I think there were girls. He looked out the window. The well's covered. Not deep enough. He nodded once, set the paper on the table. We go now. She didn't blink. I already did. He turned fast. Alone? She pulled something else from her apron. A rusted buckle, child-sized, still wet with earth. You brought this back? I wanted you to hold it. He took it, turned it over in his palm. I wore one like this. So did they. He didn't speak for a while, just stared at the thing, like it could wake up. I saw stones out there, she said. Unmarked, but it's not natural. Could be nothing. They were arranged. He grabbed his coat. Show me. Outside, the wind pushed against the trees, like it had something to say. They walked in silence, boots crunching across brittle grass. The barn shrank behind them. The field ahead looked empty, ordinary, but he felt the weight shift with every step. She led him around the fence line, through the narrow break where the boards rotted away. Beyond the dry pasture, the old well sat like a forgotten apology, lid askew, rope long gone, moss curling up the sides. She knelt beside it, ran her fingers along the rim. "This was used," she said. He crouched beside her. "How do you know?" "It smells like iron." "Not water." He leaned in. The air below was wrong, thick, heavy, like it didn't want to leave. She stood. I walked a few paces to the left, then another, then stopped. "Here." He followed. "What am I looking at?" She pointed. 1, 2, 3, stones. Even space. He knelt, brushed dirt with his hand. The edge of a ribbon poked through the soil. He pulled. A faded strip of blue cloth. Torn. Child's fabric. His jaw clenched. "You think this was her?" "No. Someone before he held the ribbon like it burned." "How many?" She whispered. "More than the map could fit." He looked at her. "Why would someone mark it and hide it?" "Because some of them still wanted the truth." "Then why not say it?" "Because they knew who the land belonged to." He stood, shaking. "We have to dig." "Not yet." "Why?" "You're not ready to see what stayed hidden this long." He backed away, breath caught in his throat. "I never wanted to believe this," he said. "You did. You just buried it deeper." He dropped the ribbon. "If I dig, and there's something, there is. What if I can't live with it?" She looked at him. "Then do what your sister couldn't." He swallowed. "What's that?" "Keep breathing anyway." The wind shifted again. The well creaked. He looked down at the stones and finally understood why the grass never grew there. The shovel cut in with more sound than soil. He hadn't spoken since sunup, just walked to the field and started digging, sleeves rolled, jaw locked. She followed in silence, carried the second shovel, didn't ask how deep, didn't ask where. She already knew. By midday, the wind died. The trees stopped whispering. All that remained was the sound of steel hitting earth and the short, shallow breaths he didn't know he was taking. He wiped sweat from his brow. "This is where the first stone was." She nodded. "And the last." He dug again. "The soil is darker here, thick with rot." She knelt beside the edge, pulled at something half buried near the base of the stone. "Don't." She already had. A piece of cloth came loose in her hands, faded pink, torn. "That's a child's apron," she said. He stepped back. "How is that still?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. He dropped to his knees, started clearing faster. No rhythm now, just urgency, hands clawing where the shovel failed. Then, a button, small, round, smoothed by time. "God," he breathed. She held it between her fingers like it could still tell the truth. They kept digging, found more, bits of fabric, a cracked shoe, splinters of wood that might have once been a box, then bones, small. He froze. "No." She reached in gently, unearthing them like she'd done it before, like reverence was muscle memory. "You sure?" he asked, voice thin. She nodded. "This one never turned 10. He sat back on his heels. Who the hell were they? "The ones without names." The wind came back just enough to carry the stink. It didn't smell like death. It smelled like a memory that rotted slowly. She pulled out another shard of fabric, blue this time, with threadbare edges and an embroidered flower still holding on. "I saw her wear this once," she said, just before she vanished. He took the cloth. His hands shook. He reached for his satchel, pulled out the match tin. "I need to do something." She stepped back. "You're not ready." "I have to." He struck one, let it burn, watched the flame flicker against the windless air, then dropped it into the pit. The flame vanished. No smoke, no scent, just silence. He struck another, dropped it again. Nothing. He looked at her. "Why won't it catch?" She stared into the dirt. "Some land doesn't burn clean. It remembers who it fed." He shook his head. "That's not possible." Neither was this. He stood. "It's wet." "Has to be. It hasn't rained in a week." He lit another, threw it harder this time. Still nothing. The earth sucked it like a breath. "It's like it wants to keep them," he muttered. She whispered, It does. He kicked at the edge. I can't leave it like this. We won't. We need to tell someone. No. He turned on her. Why not? You think they'll listen? They have to. You think they didn't know? His mouth opened, then shut. She stood over the grave. This isn't new. This is just what got caught. He crouched again, hands trembling. My father started it. You sure? No. But you think. I watched who came out here at night. Men, horses, the sheriff. Once your brother. His eyes widened. My brother. He carried a bag. It was moving. He covered his face with both hands. God. She knelt beside him. You didn't see it then. That's okay. But you see it now. I was just a boy. You were the only one who cared when she vanished. She braided your hair. She made me a promise that if I ever got out, I'd say her name somewhere they couldn't silence. He looked back down into the hole. What was her name? Lena. He whispered it once, like an apology. She touched his arm. There's more here. How many? Dozens. He looked around the field, at every flat patch of land. At every place, the grass looked just a little too even. I don't know what to do, he said. We start by remembering. He reached back into the grave, pulled the cloth over the bones, not to hide them, to honor them. She placed the button beside the ribbon, and together they sat there, not speaking, not crying, just sitting in the field that wouldn't burn, because it didn't need fire. It already held the truth. She pried up the floorboard with a butter knife. Quiet, slow, like if the house heard, it might try to stop her. Dust swirled in the sunlight as the plank came loose. He watched from the corner, unsure whether to ask or stay silent. She reached beneath the floor, fingers digging through dirt and cobwebs, pulled out a folded square of paper, browned on the edges. She didn't unfold it right away. What is it? He asked. A letter. From who? She stood, brushed off her skirt, held the paper like it weighed more than it should. There's no ink, she said. He stepped closer. Blank? She shook her head. Look. She turned it toward the light. Indentations. Someone wrote hard but didn't bleed it with ink. Why? She met his eyes, so only someone desperate would try to read it. He took the letter gently, ran his thumb across the surface, raised lines, shallow curves, words buried like bones. I got charcoal, he said. She nodded. He walked to the table, pulled open the drawer, found the tin of drawing sticks his sister used to sketch clouds when she still believed in things, crushed one gently in his palm. Hope this works, he muttered. He shaded the edge of the letter slowly. Black dust clung to the ridges. Words started to rise. He read them aloud. I'm sorry. I didn't know they chose her. He froze. What does that mean? She said nothing. He kept reading. She was supposed to leave. I told them I wouldn't be part of it. But they said the vote was final. I thought. The next line was smudged. He dropped the letter. Who wrote this? She stepped forward. The governor's son. He stared at her. That can't be. He came to visit your father. 3 times. Always at night. You're guessing. I was under the floor. You're sure? I remember his boots. Shined. Wrong for farm dirt. He picked up the letter again. Read the rest silently. Face hardening. She was chosen, he asked. Yes. For what? You know. He shook his head. No, I don't. You've seen the field. His voice cracked. You think they selected her? They marked her, like they did the others. But she was. She was just a kid. They wanted obedience. They wanted quiet. She wasn't. That's why she didn't come back. He sat down slowly. The governor's son. I met him once. He gave me a coin. She braided it into her hair that night. He looked up. You're sure? She said it made her feel powerful, even if it wasn't hers to keep. He laid the letter flat on the table. Why leave this here? She wanted you to know. No. If it was him, why would he confess? She whispered, because confession doesn't cost much when the blood's not yours. He swallowed. And forgiveness? That's something he never earned. He pressed the charcoal deeper into the paper. More words lifted. Tell her brother I didn't want it this way. He exhaled sharply. He knew. He said, yes, and did it anyway. He watched. Did my father? Yes. He clenched his jaw. And the sheriff. He drove the wagon. He stood fast. The chair scraped loud against the floor. Where is he now? Dead. 2 winters back. Stroke. Good. No, not good. He died clean. He stared at the letter. This shouldn't be real. It always was. He ran his hand through his hair. And Mama, she prayed with her. Told her the pain was holy. He turned away. Don't say that. She said her silence was a sacrifice. He covered his ears. Enough. She waited. Let the quiet settle. He lowered his hands. I looked at the girl. You said you were under the floor. Yes. All that time? Until I couldn't stay quiet anymore. He nodded. I looked at the letter again. What do we do with it? Burn it. No. People need to see this. They'll say it's made up. He hesitated. Then why save it? For you. He stepped back. You want me to carry it? You already are. He pressed the paper to his chest. Why didn't she run? She waited. For what? For someone who'd believe her. He folded the letter, slid it into his shirt pocket. I believe her now. I know, she said. That's why it hurts. And in the stillness, the floorboard settled back into place. She didn't call for him, just stood there in the hallway, holding the frame like it might start bleeding. He found her frozen in place, knees locked, mouth slightly open. What is it? He asked. She turned the photograph so he could see. Old, sepia, curled at the edges. His grandfather in the center, boots polished, rifle balanced across his lap like a prize. On the step beside him, his sister, maybe 6, stiff posture, one ribbon falling out of her braid. But it wasn't them she stared at. He leaned closer. In the shadows behind them stood a woman, barely visible, just off-center. Apron, head slightly bowed, a faint shimmer at her collar. That was my mother, she said quietly. He squinted. Could be anyone. She always wore a bird pin right here. She tapped the collarbone. Hide it when she has to. But never took it off. He stared harder. A faint shine. Could have been glare. Could have been a pin. I've seen that before, he said. She braided her hair under to hide the thickness. They didn't like the women looking too strong. He nodded slowly. Where was this taken? Same porch we stand on now. Only younger. Paint still white. His mouth was dry. I don't remember her. You weren't meant to. He sat down on the floor beside her. The wood creaked. She worked here. She was kept here. His face tensed. By my grandfather. And your father. He touched the edge of the frame. They say the house was full of help back then. Not helping. Just girls with no last names. He exhaled slowly. You're her daughter? Yes. Born here? In the locked room at the end of the hall. The one with the rotted floor. I never saw her. She made sure you didn't. Hide in walls. In crawl spaces. Slept while you played outside. He looked down. I feel sick. She said if I was quiet long enough, I might survive. He traced his finger along the side of the frame. Your mother, how long did she stay? She never left. Just changed rooms. He stared. She cleaned blood out of sheets she didn't stain, she continued. Washed clothes that didn't fit her. Taught your sister to hum a tune no one else knew. He closed his eyes. I remember that song. She used to sing it to me through the floorboards. Said it was safer than lullabies. He opened his eyes again. What happened to her? She asked to leave. They locked her in the sewing room. For how long? 3 days. Then the silence started. He stood, took the photo from her hands, looked again at the woman in the shadows. And nobody asked where she went. They were told not to. He whispered, my father knew. He turned the photo over, blank back. No date, no name, just silence. I don't want to believe this, he said. You already do. He set the photo on the nearby table, pressed his palms into his eyes. I thought this house was cursed, he said. Things moved without reason. Cold spots, voices. I thought it was grief. It was a memory. He dropped his hands. What was her name? Maribel. He said it once, quiet. Let it sit in the air. She taught your sister to sew, she added. Taught her how to fold corners in paper to hide messages. His head jerked up. My sister did that. She learned it from my mother. I found a folded note under the stove. No ink. She showed us how to press hard, so we could write in secret. He looked toward the kitchen like the note might still be there. "Do you remember the cracked floor tile near the pantry?" she asked. Yes. She used to hide bread under it. For me, for anyone who needed quiet food, he shook his head slowly. All those things I never saw, because they didn't want you looking. He sat down again. "I don't know what to do with this." "You don't have to do anything." "Feels like I do." "Then say her name." "Maribel." "Say it like she mattered." He nodded. "Maribel." She picked up the photo again, set it upright on the mantel beside the old clock. "No more hiding," she said. He stood beside her. She was always in the picture, just not in the story. And behind the glass, the faint shimmer at her collar caught one last flicker of light. She laid the spoons out slow, careful, like she was setting bones. 4 wooden ones, plain and smooth, and one more, metal, heavy, bent like it had been twisted by heat or a hand that didn't know its strength. She placed it last, nearest his plate. He stared at it and paused mid-air. "That one doesn't belong," he said. She didn't look up. "It does." He touched the handle. Cold. The bend is sharp and unnatural, curled just enough to catch light wrong. "This was hers," he said. "My sister." She nodded. "I thought it was thrown out." "You thought wrong." He lifted it, turned it in his hand. "She hid it once. Behind the chimney stack. I know." He looked at her. "How?" "She scratched the wall with it." He froze. "Scratched what?" "3 letters. My name." He set the spoon down. "You're not lying." "I haven't lied yet." He stood from the table. She didn't stop him. I walked straight past the kitchen into the hall, turned toward the stairwell. He took them 2 at a time. Dust lifted where his boots hit. The upstairs was quiet like it always was. Not empty. Just listening. She followed, slower, steps soft. He opened the old bedroom door. Hers. No one had slept in there since. The quilt still folded at the foot of the bed, faded purple stitching. The rocking chair leaned crooked near the corner. He went straight to the wall near the chimney. The bricks had cracked over time, separating slightly from the wood beam beside them. He ran his hand along the slats, fingertips catching on rough edges. There, a faint curve. Another. He dug into the gap with his fingernail, pulled free a sliver of wood. Behind it, 3 letters, small, jagged, not etched with a knife, but something blunter, forced deep enough to stay. L-I-N. He stared. "It's not finished." "It was never meant to be," she said. He looked at her, eyes wet. She was naming you. She didn't know how to spell the rest. He leaned his head against the wall. "How'd you find this?" "I used to sleep there, against the bricks. I felt it before I ever saw it." "She was trying to leave you a sign." "She did." He stepped back. "This spoon." He paused. "Why would she use that?" "She said it hurt less than waiting." He sat on the floor, knees pulled up. The room felt too small, too full of things not said. "She used to tap it on the edge of her cup. 3 times. Always 3. I remember. She did it when she was scared." He nodded. "I didn't understand back then." "You weren't meant to." He stared at the mark again. "You think there are more?" She scratched lines on the floor near the bed, counting days, maybe hours, maybe girls. He blinked. Girls? She wasn't alone in here. He stood slowly. I looked at the bed, lifted the mattress, then dropped it. Nothing there. She shared this room. For a while. He touched the headboard. She used to pretend it was a boat. Said storms couldn't reach her under the covers. She was wrong. He turned. "Why didn't anyone hear?" "They did. Just didn't open the door." He looked at the spoon again. Still bent, still stained. "I remember when she lost it," he said. "She cried. Told Mama it was special." "What did she say?" "Those spoons weren't worth crying over." She stepped closer, but she did anyway. "Every night." The window creaked behind them. Dust shifted across the sill. He picked up the spoon again. "You sure this was hers?" She carved a mark on the underside. He flipped it. A small line. Then another, then one more. 3 notches. Slanted. 3, he whispered. She always counted in 3s. He held it like it might fall apart in his hands. "I want to keep this," he said. "It's yours." He nodded. "Sit back down." "It's strange." I forgot what her laugh sounded like, but I remember how she set the table, left the spoon crooked. Just like that, she left it for you to find. I never did. You weren't ready. I'm ready now. She stepped out of the room, left him alone with the spoon, the letters on the wall, and the bed that remembered storms. Downstairs, the plates stayed where she'd set them. Nothing moved, nothing burned. But upstairs, something old had shifted, and this time, he didn't look away. The sound of hooves came fast this time, not like before. No hesitation, no slow arrival. This was a mission, and they brought fire with them. 4 riders. The sheriff up front, torch already lit. Faces hard, hands already stained with smoke. She saw them first, standing at the top step. No fear, just waiting. He stepped out behind her. What the hell is this? The sheriff didn't dismount, lifted the torch higher. This house is sick. Then leave, the man said. Let it rot on its own. We're cleansing it. Who's we? The others didn't speak, just watched. Blank, trained. She didn't blink. Why now? The sheriff's jaw clenched. Because people are talking. They've been talking. Now they're listening. She tilted her head. And burning's easier than listening? He turned toward the barn. That field out there. What you dug up. You were there, she said. He didn't answer. You didn't stop it, she added. I followed orders. You followed graves. The man stepped down from the porch. This is my land. The sheriff pointed the torch. Not anymore. She stood firm in the doorway. Then why are your boots still muddy from the field? He froze. The torch dropped slightly. You walked it, she continued. You saw the stones. You knew what they marked. He didn't speak. One of the men behind him shifted in his saddle. Say it, she said. The sheriff turned back to her, eyes narrow. You think words undo the dead? No, she said, but they choose who joins them. He looked down, at his boots, in the dust, at the match in his other hand, then tossed it, hard, not toward the house, but toward the barn. The hay caught, fast. The dry season has cracked everything. Flames leapt like they were waiting. The man shouted, What the hell are you doing? Cleansing, the sheriff said again. Like I said, he ran toward the fire, grabbed a bucket, flung it too late. The barn crackled, boards snapping. The horses in the back kicked their stalls. Smoke clawed into the sky. You light the barn, but not the house, she asked. He didn't answer. She stepped off the porch, slow, controlled. I walked straight toward him. You think fire fixes silence? He didn't look at her, just watched the blaze. I saw you carry one of the girls, she said. Years back. You had her wrapped in a blanket. He turned, fast. That's a lie. She didn't scream, but she didn't breathe either. The other men looked at each other, unsure now. I was a child, she continued, but I remember her shoes. One pink, one brown. His voice cracked. You don't know what you're saying. She bled on your shirt. He drew his gun. Say another word. She didn't flinch. Shoot me, and everyone will know why. The man stepped between them. Put it down. She's a threat, the sheriff snapped. She's not holding fire, the man replied. The sheriff's hand shook, then slowly lowered the weapon. The fire behind them roared louder. The barn gave a long groan. A beam collapsed inside. The animals, the man said suddenly. You locked them in. The sheriff looked away. The girl whispered, You wanted them to scream. Another torch was dropped, not by the sheriff. One of the riders. Quiet boy, young, maybe 18. It hit the dirt, didn't catch. He turned his horse around and rode off. The sheriff cursed. You think this erases you? The girl asked. I didn't bury her. You carried her. She was already gone, because you made her. He backed away, shaking, face flushed. I tried to stop it, he muttered. No, she said. You tried not to be seen. Another beam fell. Sparks flew across the dry grass. Flames licked the fence. The man ran with a blanket, stomped out what he could. The girl stepped closer to the sheriff. You came to burn the truth, she said, but it already burned you. He dropped the torch, gun still at his side, walked toward his horse like he didn't know why he came. You'll be remembered, she said. He looked back once. By who? She didn't answer. The barn collapsed fully then, the roof folding into itself. The sound was final, like giving up something. They watched until only embers remained. The other riders left one by one, not a word between them. She turned to the man beside her. His face was streaked with sweat and ash. They'll come back, he said. She shook her head. Not if there's nothing left to burn. And in the glow of what used to be, the land did not scream. It just smoked, like memory refusing to die quiet. The fire reached the walls by midnight. No more creaks, just collapse. The house didn't scream like the barn. It folded in on itself like it had been waiting, like some part of it wanted to disappear. He stood with her in the field, sweat streaked through ash, clothes still heavy with smoke. Neither spoke. The windows blew out one by one. She didn't blink. He whispered, "I built part of that wall." "It didn't hold," she said. Flames curled around the porch, then the stairs, then the frame. She reached into her apron. He saw her hands move, slow, careful. She opened the locket, not quick, like it might bite. He turned his head just enough to see what rested inside. Not a photo, just hair, golden, braided, faint ribbon wrapped through the ends. He gasped, "That's hers." She nodded. "I thought they buried it with her." "They buried something." "Not her." He stepped closer, stared. "That's her braid. From when she was 12, I braided it," she said. "The night before." He swallowed hard. "You were with her?" She said, "They'll forget me." I told her they wouldn't. And we did anyway. "No," she said. "They made you forget." He reached out, almost touched the braid. Didn't. "She was shaking that night," she added. But her voice didn't. What else did she say? She said the fire would come. She didn't know when. She saw it? She felt it. He watched the roof fall in. A rush of sparks climbed high into the dark. For a moment, it looked like stars were being released. She said she didn't want to be remembered for how she ended, the girl said. Only for the way she hummed. He nodded once. "I hear it sometimes." Still, she looked at him. "Then, you still have her." The locket sat open in her palm. The braid trembled as the wind shifted, then stopped. No more movement, no more heat. The fire calmed. Just embers now, glowing like eyes. And then, without her touching it, the locket snapped shut. Click. Soft final. She didn't flinch. He stepped back. "Did you?" "No." His breath caught. That was her. She's done waiting. The air grew still, heavy, like it had swallowed everything it could. She looked down at the locket. "She gave this to me so I'd remember. And now, she doesn't need me anymore." He held out his hand. She didn't place it there at first. Then slowly, she did. "Don't," she said. He nodded, clenched his fingers around it like it might disappear if he opened his palm, and, for once, said nothing. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was full, brimmed with years they couldn't return, with sounds they could never erase. "I want to mark that field," he said finally. "With names, with stones." She'd like that. "No," he said. She'd laugh at me. Said I was always too slow. She said you were kind. Just quiet. He looked down at his hands, one still closed around the locket. "I feel like I held nothing all these years," he whispered. "But now this. It's heavier than a house." "It was never the house," she said. He turned to face the ruins. "It was us." She stepped beside him. "The fire took what needed to go," she said. "Not everything," he replied. She nodded. "Some things live past the burning." He watched the last beam fall, then turned away. I started walking toward the field. She followed. The earth beneath their feet felt different, not soft, not forgiving. But I'm ready. Like it expected something true at last. He stopped at the edge. "I'll bury the locket here," he said. Not as a grave. As a promise, she didn't stop him. He knelt, dug with his hands, placed the locket in the dirt. No box, no wrapping, just soil and memory. Covered it slowly, pressed it flat. "Lena," he whispered. The wind moved again, only once, and never touched them. Morning brought no smoke, just silence. The fire had taken the house, but the porch still stood, charred but upright, like it refused to fall with the rest. He found it odd, stared at it from the field where the locket lay buried, hands still crusted in ash. She stood a few feet behind him, arms crossed, watching what remained. "That porch shouldn't still be there," he said. "It never wanted to burn," she answered. "Everything else did." He stepped forward slowly. Gravel crunched beneath his boots. The steps were blackened but solid. He ran his hand along the railing, warm, not from fire, from memory. "She sat here," he said. Almost every night after supper. She carved something under the bench, the girl said. He blinked. What? Your sister. I watched her do it once. When she thought no one saw, he knelt down, ducked under the edge of the bench, rubbed the soot away. A heart, roughly scratched in the wood. Inside it, 2 letters, L plus M. Who's M? He asked. Maribel, she said. My mother. His breath caught. She loved her? She said she was the only safe place. He ran his fingers across the carving. Why wouldn't she tell me? She did. Just not with words. He sat down slowly on the step. The wood creaked beneath him, but it held. I used to think I knew her, he said. All her secrets, all her fears. You knew the parts she let you see. He looked up at the girl. She must have known what would happen. She knew enough. He let the silence grow. Not heavy, just still. I remember once, he began. She spilled milk on purpose. Mama was yelling, and she tipped the jar right off the table, said she didn't want me to get hit. The girl nodded. She did that for me, too. He laughed once, bitter. She never let me take the weight. She carried it all. He looked at the house, the empty window frames, the smoke-streaked siding still clinging to the side like skin refusing to shed. I think she knew it would come to this, he said. The fire. The field. Us standing here. She left pieces behind, the girl said, so someone would know how to finish it. He leaned back. Let the sun hit his face. Let it sting a little. I want to rebuild, he said. Not the house. No, he agreed. Not the house. She stepped up onto the porch, sat beside him. The bench gave a soft groan, but didn't collapse. She asked me once, she said, what I'd do if I ever made it out. He turned. What did you say? I said I'd plant something that outlived me. He looked toward the field. Then we start there. I already did, she said. He raised a brow. She reached into her apron, pulled out a small cloth pouch. I opened it carefully. Seeds, she said. He stared. What kind? She never told me. Just said they were hers. He held out his hand. Then let's find out. They walked down the steps, side by side, past the ruins, past the grave that wasn't a grave, to the edge of the scarred land. She knelt first, dug small holes with her fingers. He followed, pressed the seeds in, one by one. They didn't speak as they worked, just planted. And when they finished, she looked up. This porch survived for a reason, she said. To remind us? To sit and watch what grows. He nodded, and for the first time, he felt it. Not peace, not yet, but beginning.